Think shit easy, them niggas foolish. One thing for certain, we been the rules. What's on your feet? Them bloody shoes. Mission impossible, call me Tom Cruise.
New information is being released in the YSL RICO case, sharing some good news regarding the release of YSL Kingpin Young Thug. While every member of YSL is being handed out proffer deals, snitching out of jail deals, and even just very easy sentences, Young Thug is being charged and targeted all by himself very harshly, and it's clear the prosecutors only want him. However, his lawyers are now making strides on his release from jail to be very soon, as the latest court hearing did start very rough, but did get better as time went on, as after hours of evidence were being presented to him in the courtroom, with even new information of a new YSL snitch, Young Thug looked very defeated in the courtroom and sadly ready to give up, as we saw reports being released of Young Thug looked very defeated in court recently, with this video attached. Leave a like on the video if you're a fan of Young Thug. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. Now that video would go on to go viral online. Court officials also added to the report by stating, and I quote, "Notice in the video clip how Young Thug is alone in the courtroom. No other YSL members being told the new charges and evidence, proving that he's being targeted the most out of anyone in the case, making this court case even more serious. So serious to the point that Young Thug's own sister had to speak online about this video clip, telling us to realize Young Thug's current situation. She mentions how Young Thug is going to court daily, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every single couple of weeks, going to the courtroom 8 hours a day, people he called brothers turning on him and snitching. This is a very hard time for him. Now it seems as if every court hearing that Young Thug is involved in, people are either trying to set him up, release new evidence on him, or even just snitch on him. As very recently, a YSL member in court allegedly tried setting up Young Thug for even more charges, as it was announced that Young Thug tried pulling something in front of several cameras, security guards, and even the judge in the courtroom. As it was announced, and I quote, "My colleague Mark just obtained surveillance video that shows the moment prosecutors accuse Young Thug and his co-defendant, Khalif Adams, of conduring a hand-to-hand deal in the courtroom. Here is the footage as mentioned." As the Twitter thread continues stating, prosecutors say the surveillance shows Adams walk over to where Young Thug is seated with his attorney. He then drops narcotics in his hand. A deputy confronts Young Thug and he turns over the items to authorities. When deputies searched Adams, they found him in possession of narcotics wrapped in plastic and food seasoning to conceal the odor. According to investigators, Adams was taken to Grady Hospital after he appeared to ingest other items of contraband in an effort to conceal the extent of his crimes with the courtroom. Prosecutors filed a motion asking the court to make a finding of fact that court was delayed on January 18th, 2023 because of the actions of defendant Williams and defendant Adams. To the final tweet stating, an attorney, Keith Adams, for Young Thug, responded to the allegations that his client was involved in the deal, with this audio of Young Thug's lawyer officially reacting to the new allegations of the video being released online.
The reality is, Mr. Williams had nothing to do with what went on in the courtroom on yesterday. One of the co-defendants, on his way to the restroom, attempted to pass something to Mr. Williams, who immediately turned it over to the deputy.
He did not know it was allegedly Percocet?
Did not know. Well, we don't know what it is. Did not know what it was, turned it over to the deputy right away. The deputies took action. The individual who had the contraband, not Mr. Williams, was taken into the back.
Now, while that situation looks bad for Young Thug, it actually looks better when Young Thug's lawyers explained to the judge that Young Thug had no idea this was going on. And Young Thug's lawyers are making the claim that there are YSL members that are turning on Young Thug in an effort to only save themselves, trying to make him look bad for them to be released early, which could in the end make Young Thug be released so no more nonsense goes on in the courtroom, such as that video clip. However, there was one YSL member who intentionally gave Young Thug more charges, and it ended up working. This YSL member is known as Gunna, as on December 14th, YSL rapper Gunna accepted a plea deal inside of the courtroom. In this plea deal, Gunna admitted that YSL is a street team that commits street crimes, as shared in this video clip.
You agree or acknowledge that statements are true, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I became affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in Berkeley.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocarbons and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL to the detriment of my community. YSL again. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
Now, while this did work for Gunna, having him released from jail, he's now facing the consequences on snitching on one of the biggest names in the music industry. As DJ Academics tweeted, YSL is having a beef on Instagram. Gunna came out and tried testing the water, claiming YSL the label and said free Young Thug. Everybody in YSL is looking at Gunna like, buddy, you're the reason that he's in there. They all unfollowed him on Instagram, even Young Thug's sister as well. Now, this situation all began when Gunna did, quote, try testing the water. He went on to tweet, rest in peace, Lil Keed. I love you and I miss you, twin, referring to the late YSL rapper known as Lil Keed, who sadly passed only 1 week into the YSL RICO case. Gunna and Young Thug were not able to speak about it publicly yet, so Gunna then just did. He even then released another photo on Instagram, a picture at his at-home studio, with a caption stating, people acting like they switching to his side, but it's only one side. Hashtag YSL the label, free Young Thug and Yak. Now, this Instagram post got a lot of backlash from YSL members, as YSL King Mondo replied to Gunna on Instagram stating, I ain't gonna bite my tongue, baby boy. You don't need to be saying nothing about YSL or free Young Thug after what you said and did. You really got some nerve. Now, YSL King Mondo is furious with Gunna, as due to these snitches, there is 65 total charges that YSL members are facing. Young Thug is being charged with 8 crimes now, as the 8 charges that Young Thug is currently facing is conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, otherwise known as the RICO charge, 1 charge of participation in criminal street activity, 1 charge of possession of narcotics with intent to distribute, possession of a special type of drink with intent to distribute, possession of even more narcotics, possession of a firearm, and 1 charge of possession of a switch for firearms. These charges have been confirmed as YSL members snitched out Young Thug, giving the feds all of the evidence that they need against him. Young Thug had all of these charges land on him after Gunna accepted his plea deal, as YSL members have been snitching on Young Thug since day 1 of the case.
He's the one directing traffic. He is the one they're all afraid of. He's the one that's King Slime. He is the most dangerous of the 28, Judge. And I implore you not to grant him a bond. He is dangerous. If he gets a burner, Judge, and the court may know this, a lot of the communications that Mr. Williams is on FaceTime. because it's not traceable, it's not trackable. Judge, I will also say that we have taken proffers from fellow from Mr. Williams. Some are on this indictment, some are not. They have stated uniformly that Mr. Williams is dangerous. They are afraid of him, that if they cross him, he will kill them and their family. And they were very clear about that.
Concerns that this court has is danger to persons and to intimidate other witnesses and obstruct the administration of justice. So and for those reasons in the aggregate, I'm going to deny bond at this time.
With allegedly 15 snitches in the YSL case going against Young Thug, it's clear the prosecutors want him and only him, as this was actually proven when Gunna was announced to be released in the courtroom. Young Thug's lawyers then also argued for his release as well, but he was quickly denied as prosecutors were waiting for this to happen. Prosecutors were ready for his lawyers to ask for release so they could ruin all chances of it happening. Now, the prosecutors mentioned a tweet sent out on Young Thug's Twitter account. The tweet states, "I'm talking with my roommate and we're wondering if you could swim 100 miles from the middle of the ocean back to shore at Michael Phelps." Now, what seems like an innocent tweet sent out by his music manager, it turned very ugly in the courtroom, as the prosecutors allege that Young Thug is using this platform through his music manager to send secretive tweets out to existing YSL members in the free world to go commit crimes, as this was Young Thug's lawyer defending him in the courtroom about this matter.
Williams is in a jail outside of Fulton County. There are 0 cell phones in that jail.
That last tweet that was sent out to Michael Phelps is recorded. It's been investigated by the sheriff of that county, and it was a conversation that's recorded between Mr. Williams and a member of his close friendships, that he asked the other person who has control of his Twitter account. That is not a reason to...
Well, this is part of the conversation, Mr. Steele, and you and others are going to need to have with your clients, because this is part of the state's concern. I mean...
That was an innocent... That's nothing bad. Asking somebody to tweet to Michael Phelps, "Can you swim 100 miles in the ocean?" That has nothing to do with intimidation. That ask you.
Well, if I can communicate through a family member or somebody else, then I can communicate something else.
Everything okay over there?
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, your family was concerned that something was going on. You're fine, right?
Yes, I'm great.
Okay, cool.
Now, the secretive tweet theory all began when YSL Woody would snitch on Young Thug at the very beginning of the court case, as YSL members would then go after YSL Woody as well as his family for him to be quiet about the kingpin, as it was announced that YSL Woody is a federal informant and he's the reason the feds were able to solve 50 crimes made by YSL and street teams in Atlanta. As shared by DJ Academics, this tweet, and I quote, "Truth teller YSL Woody popped out on the gram last year after cooperating with the police for 3 hours in solving 50 crimes." Telling on Young Thug, YFN Lucci, and others. Ironically, in his caption, he claims that he didn't cry or cooperate. Just as his tweet stated before YSL Woody became a snitch, he posted this to his Instagram. "I sat in jail days, nights, months, and years. I didn't know my outcome, didn't call on God, didn't cry or cooperate. I started working and understanding myself, realizing who I am and what I'm worth. Jail gave me time to think, grow, and understand. Only point I have to prove is showing people that whatever we put our mind to, we can do it. Stay away from bad energy, focus, and believe in yourself." Taking a photo with the YSL mansion that is owned by Young Thug. Now, if you want to stay up to date with the Young Thug RICO case, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's been District Trending, and I'm out.
You think shit easy? Them niggas foolish. One thing for certain, we been the rules. What's on your feet? Them bloody shoes. Mission impossible. Call me Tom Cruise.